Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Service Without Excuses podcast with Rob M. Lyon. Glad to have you here today. We want to thank our sponsor, as always, SoTellUs.com/Rob Lyon. That's SoTellUS/Rob Lyon, ROBLYON. Check out the world's best review management software. We use it in our own business. We recommend it to our clients. It's a consistent stream of income. It's a consistent stream of new opportunities that come in. And the good thing about those opportunities is people tend to book us very easily without question, not necessarily on price. In fact, most of the time, price is not the issue because they're taking somebody's information, and there's a good chance they might have known one of our other past clients and customers and decided to use this when they go through the reviews. It does happen. We get those calls, and we appreciate them, and they're kind of home runs. People don't question anything when they see their friend or relative has used our services and been happy with it. So we want to thank them so much for helping us with that program. We don't use them as much this time of the year because we typically do more commercial work than residential, but during our residential time of the year, which is pretty much early spring, March until Christmas, we're taking in quite a few of those every single day, week, month, and year. So we appreciate them very much for sponsoring the podcast. This is another part of the Ask the Coach segment, so to speak, and it really is Ask the Coach. It's literally what it is. Question I had from one of my clients. Actually, they asked me for two different things. They're asking me in our Rob M. Lyon business, the Service Without Excuses business, what they needed to hire. They had heard and recommended from one of our other clients that we were able to produce results or help them produce results. We don't actually produce the results. We help you do it. And they recommended us, and they wanted to know what we wanted. Now, this is more of a service manufacturing. It is a service-based business, but it's on the manufacturing side. So their question was, of course, needed efficiencies, needed this, needed maybe some morale training, needed some leadership training possibly in their company. And they wanted to know whether they needed to hire a coach or a consultant. And of course, they came to me first to see if I was the right person for them. And we fit good together and answer some of their questions. So it's two different sides of it. A consultant is a person that comes in and does project work. What do I mean by project work? It means person says, hey, I want to restructure my company right down to the efficiency of how we're manufacturing the widget, how we're making whatever product we're making. And I need to have an efficient stream to do that. I need to see where the blind spots are in it and where I can change those over and make the most sense. How I could do it from a top-down process, from my operations manager, my CEO in this particular company, down to operations managers, to frontline supervisors, to the technicians putting the parts together and building an assembly. And how can I help with that? That is more of a consultant process because you're taking the project as a whole and you're saying, okay, so we're going to mind map this backwards. We're going to sit there and say, if we're looking at this backwards, what does it look like? And some of that's in coaching as well, but it's always in consulting. Look at it from the standpoint of going backwards. What makes the most sense? This is where we want to be, and let's work our way back to where we currently are, and how do we develop those steps to be there? That's a consultant. That's saying, okay, in this part of the consultant agreement, we're going to do X. X could be train leadership, do leadership training at the top, therefore moving that down toward, the frontline workers out there. That is usually a project. That is usually something that is maybe might be 2-3 months. Most of the time, it's never less than 3 months. It's pretty involved. And it could be as far as multiple years. Typically, most of our consulting agreements go about a year. It's rarely does it go beyond that just because of the style of businesses we're working with and what we have out there. They typically don't go that long, and they shouldn't go that long. But that goes into part two. Okay, we developed all these things. We got everything going. Now I've got my staff on board, but I'm worried that they may skip the morale. They may look back and say, okay, this is not exactly what I want to do, or they start getting some slag and some slacking backwards. Not necessarily intentional, but the consulting work, the project work is done, and now nobody's there to watch it except for the ownership that paid us money to get them trained. That's where the coaching side comes in. So we've done both. I've done just consulting work where I've gone in and figured out where the inefficiencies are in the business, or how we teach people everything from sales to marketing to operational tactics, things of that nature, from experience, my past experience and my colleagues' experience. We take that standpoint and put that all into a piece of documentation, if you want to call it a book, a playbook, so to speak, of how we're going to do it. Now, you see here, I have the Steelers, and I am a Steelers fan, and I'm happy that they're in the playoffs. I'm actually, frankly, surprised, but I'm appreciative. I would take them if they lost every game, and I would be as upset as any regular Steelers fan, or I'll take it if we win the Super Bowl. Either way, I've been a Steelers fan since I was a little kid. And we know that we've had, Ben Roethlisberger just retired. We're here 2021, and we're just the beginning of the year, and he's about to play. He was supposed to play his last game, but they won, and somebody lost, and now they're going into the playoffs, and that's awesome. But that's where a coach is involved. A coach is required to train them, and that's for a whole different day. I won't even get into what that happens to be. But on the coaching side, it requires consistent training and assistance and helping and mentoring and working together, kind of almost hand by hand, and saying, this is what it's going to be. Ben Roethlisberger, Tom Brady, you can name your quarterback whoever you want. They always need the coach there. In fact, they have several coaches involved in something like that in order to make it a success. All the teams have that, and they need that advice consistently on every day. It doesn't mean that magically the quarterback forgot all the plays, that magically the player doesn't know how to be a quarterback anymore. Of course they do. Of course they've worked, they've earned that, they have experience, they have a brain trust upstairs. But they have that coach there to make sure it's consistently done, and holds them to a certain level of accountability, personal accountability they put upon themselves, and accountability from an outside source saying, let's do blank, blank, and blank to make this happen. I'm damn sure Tom Brady knows how to make all the calls and plays to make a touchdown. But at this particular time, he's not seeing those blind spots. And that's where consulting and coaching come into play, and what they really do and how they impact your business. That consulting work is just, again, looking at the whole big picture and saying, this is what we need to do to get to Z. This is A, this is Z. Okay? Z is the final product. To maintain Z, you have coaching. You have somebody that's able to come in there and hold you accountable and help advise you on certain things to do that. That's an ongoing relationship. I have coaching clients that have been with us for years. Okay. Coaching clients, they're long-term. Very rarely are they a year. Many times they're multiple years, and they stay on our programs for a reason, because they're able to develop results, and we're able to help get them what they're looking to do. Again, a real coach doesn't do the work for them. That's an advisor. All right. That's part of maybe consulting, or even, like I said, advisor role on something. The coach makes sure you can achieve it, and they achieve it much like a manager achieves mentoring employees. You achieve it by working with someone. You don't bark at somebody who would say, you do this right now, and if you don't do that, you're going to suck. That's not what an effective coach does. Effective coach finds out your strengths, also knows your weaknesses, and says, how can we develop both? How can we really hone in on the strengths, and how can we bring up those weaknesses so they're more of a power move, so to speak. Greatest quarterback of all time, arguably Tom Brady, has weaknesses. Believe it or not, if you watch his game and you watch Tom Brady, you know what his weaknesses are, and you know what his strengths are. One of the weaknesses he's had, if you take him versus other quarterbacks, is he tends to overthrow the ball. He's got an incredible arm. He's in incredible shape for his age. It's unbelievable. But he's notorious for taking that ball and throwing it over. And if you can catch it and you're in the right position during the right play in order to get that catch, great. But if you're not, he tends to overthrow. And the benefit to him overthrowing, and why he tends to overthrow it, is because it's much harder to pick off. Okay. So if you're looking at something and saying, if you're trying to pick something off, it's very hard if it's going above your head and the other player knows he's got to jump to get it, or he's got to turn a certain way to get it. But that's not always the greatest thing in the world, because he does overthrow, and a lot of things get thrown over, and it's becomes an issue. It's no different for a pro baseball player. Most of these hard hitters, these home run kings, are not the greatest people in the field. The pitcher is not exactly usually a great hitter. It's almost non-existent. But you have people on the field that can hit 2 home runs a game on average. They will also strike out a heck of a lot. They'll strike out a lot more than the average player, but they'll blast it out of the ballpark at times. And that's your performers, that's your top level. You need to, as a coach, figure out where somebody is along the spectrum and say, okay, your skill level in this skill spectrum is here. You want to be here. Again, track our way backwards, and that's how we achieve the goal. And again, that's how it works in coaching, as you can look backwards and say, this is where I want to be. This is what makes the most sense. This is what makes sense to accomplish the goal. Again, the end of the day, you're trying to accomplish a goal. That's it. That's bottom line. If you're hiring a consultant, you're trying to accomplish a goal, usually a long-term goal. Coaching is a long-term goal, but it's done through progress and time. Going into NFLs, there's teams and you could see right now that will be Super Bowl contenders in the next couple of years. They're building the team now. They're developing a team around a quarterback. They're developing a team around a set of certain players, and they maybe need to get that extra quarterback to take them to the level, but they are real contenders right now. In the next couple of years, you're going to see teams you can't even imagine be Super Bowl contenders just because they are building that process. They've already done the consulting in order to get people in, but the coaching has taken over. And the better they do the coaching with the right people and the better communication they have between the player or the client, the better off everything will be at the end of the day. So think about things as what they are. If you're looking to hire a consultant, that is one entirely different thing from a coaching program. We do personally here a lot more coaching than consulting, but I have consulting clients that I've worked with and do work with currently, that I'm able to help through a bigger spectrum of things. But really, we're actually really good, and I feel this in the heart of hearts, at taking whatever you have. And I think anybody that knows me or has worked with me in the past will say the same thing. I'm going to listen to you, figure out what you have, and then try and come up with the best strategy from a coaching standpoint. I personally prefer coaching people better. I don't have a problem holding somebody's feet to the fire. I don't have a problem also helping you get where you need to be with as much love and attention that I need to give to you in order to get there. So I hope this answers some questions. Again, we could do a little bit of both. There are some companies do one or the other. I think we're better at coaching personally, regular agreements with people, much smaller scale on a monthly basis, but a bigger long-term goal in order to get to where you want to be and maintain it. I've actually recommended colleagues of mine for consulting more than I've taken on because I think they're really good at big picture stuff and getting them there. And then we're better at maintaining them and holding them there. But I've done both, and I've had people that have been very happy with both sides of the business. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions, feel free to message us wherever you listen to podcasts at, or you can email me at rob@robmlyon. That's rob@robmlyon.com. Send me an email and ask your question, and maybe you'll end up on one of these podcast episodes, or possibly in a Facebook live event or something, or even a live event, we can discuss it. But feel free to ask your questions. And if you have any suggestions, we always appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe to wherever you watched or listen to this. If you're on YouTube and you're watching this, please subscribe and give a thumb up. We always do appreciate that. We're growing followers now quite a bit, and it's nice, and we're gaining some serious traction when it comes to downloads. I'm actually very surprised with the people that listen to this and the feedback we get, and when I see the download reports, I'm truly humbled. So thank you so much. Again, I want to appreciate and want to thank our sponsor, Sotellus, sotellus.com/Rob Lyon. It's SOTELLUS.com/Rob LYON. They do sponsor it, and if you choose to hire them, that certainly helps the business when it comes to maintaining and growing it and keeping our relationship strong with them. So we appreciate it. And again, feel free to subscribe wherever you listen to, and we will see you at another episode. We have a gentleman named Michael Solomon coming up, I believe, tomorrow night. And Michael is going to talk about something that's a little bit relative to what we talked about today, but it's more about how the customer perceives us and why customers buy from us and the real science behind it. And he has a PhD, he's a professor at St. John's University, and it's going to be a really good podcast. And it's a totally different subject than we've ever had. I mean, when it comes to why the buyers buy. Why do your clients buy from you? Why they choose you? What's the psychology behind it? And we have a gentleman with 30 plus years of experience in this field, and I'm looking forward to having him on the podcast for our next episode. All right, guys, have a great night. Thank you so much.